Hi, thank you. First, I just wanted to thank both Paulo for this really powerful book and Daniel for the amazing translation. They're both really, really great. And I think my question kind of comes right after Emir's question about Porto Alegre. And I was born in Porto Alegre. I didn't grow up there, but I spent a lot of time there when I was growing up. And the description of the city felt very real, and I was like mentally just mapping, the various places the characters went through. And so I guess my question is a bit about the translation of a place that, as you've mentioned, Daniel, in your afterwards, that it's not a place you necessarily know. So how do you go about translating a place that's unknown potentially to the reader, and still making it feel authentic and real as a real place?
Thanks, Maria. I mean, part of the answer is I don't. I don't assume that every Portuguese language reader of Paulo's book is going to be intimately familiar with the topography of the original novel, and I'm very comfortable with people not feeling like they know their way around. My job, I think, is to present people with things, but not to explain things. There are some times when I need to understand things in order to describe them, and this is, why God invented Google Images and stuff, and so I spend a lot of time doing those things. But that's not because I think the reader needs to know Porto, the English language reader needs to know Porto Alegre as well as Paulo knows Porto Alegre. One of the things, I was giving this example the other day, one of the things that I find myself doing quite a lot is I use Google Street View. I love Google Street View. And I use it as a way of, just for myself, if a character's standing on the corner of Street X and Street Y, I find it useful to be able to virtually stand in that corner and have a sense of the scale of the buildings and have a sense of which road is, which street is bigger than which street. And one of the things that I find myself doing all the time, and again, this came up the other day, is if you have a character who is, this happened recently, a character is standing in the town hall, or standing in the main square, I think, and he walks from the main square. He said that the line is something like he walked to the church, and I, for no reason other than I feel like my English requires it, would like to be able to say the character walked up to the church, or walked down to the church, or walked over to the church. The author knows automatically where the church is in relation to where the character started. I spend some time on Google Street View trying to figure out what the hell gradient this street is on. Not because this is an essential piece of information, but because it's a way of allowing me to understand the thing that I'm describing. There are some moments where you need to smuggle in information because it's actually relevant. And if you see that a character, I live in Lewes in Sussex, and if I say I'm just going to, jump in the car and pop up to Inverness for dinner, those of you who know that Inverness is 14 hours drive away will have a different sense of what I just said to the people who might think that Inverness is 16 blocks away. And so there are times when actually there's a kind of consequent aspect to how well people understand the topography and the culture, the kind of particular local culture. But a lot of the time, I don't think that matters. I think, I can, using Google Images and Street View and whatever, and talking to helpful, obliging authors, I can figure out, in the book, there's a scene at the barracks near the end. And weirdly, one of the problems I had with that scene was not, the insults or the real charge to the language or the offensiveness. It was trying to figure out whether the barracks had a kind of big gate or a big door. And there's only one way of doing that other than getting the author to send you photos, which is find pictures of this thing and figure out how you would describe it in English. Not because it matters, but because I would like people to have the right picture in their heads. So I think, I mean, increasingly I find this, and this is something which the editor of this book and I talked about at one point as well. I don't feel the need to explain things because I think there are lots of Portuguese readers who won't know in great detail what this really Porto Alegre specific sandwich is. There's one really annoying sandwich in this book, but at the same time, I can present it and people will bring whatever knowledge they have and whatever curiosity they have.